Doctor Doom and Captain America are in hell, and both of them have enemies here who are about to bring out the best in them in an interesting way. So with that said, with us getting back into Hell's Angel Part 3, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell to get all notifications. Alright, so right away, this continues Steve's journey through Hell, with him recently being recruited by Doctor Doom, and the real Doctor Doom at that, because we've seen a lot of Dooms this year. But Steve was recruited by Doom so they could free the prisoners of Hell, overthrow Mephisto, and replace him with Doom's new friend, Veritok. But in addition to building this army, they also needed a special weapon called the Anti-Divine that was designed to kill angels. But before they can get their hands on it, Dr. Doom's childhood love, Valeria von Frazen, the woman who Doom sent to Hell in exchange for power, snatched it up first, giving her the precious opportunity that only comes once in an afterlife, with her having Doom here and more than enough power to destroy him permanently. And now she goes on to say here, do you not remember, Victor, our childhood love, our fateful reunion, how you pulled me in with your promises to be a changed man? All lies. I was a sacrifice. Our love was a sacrifice, a deal with demons for you to gain power. You sent me to Hell, Victor, where all I've been doing is dreaming of this day. And now I gotta say, this is pretty awesome. And I'm sure Doom doesn't share that sentiment, but to have Chip Zdarsky set this up, where not only Valeria von Frazen has her opportunity to get revenge, but in a story where both Doom and Captain America are being hunted by the people who arguably hate them the most. These conflicts show us so much more about Doom and Captain Rogers in this time of uncertainty, because like we saw, Mephisto sent both Valeria and the Red Skull after Doom and Steve, where they have since both gone in their own direction, where Valeria was obviously locked in on getting to Doom, while the Red Skull's been building towards a larger ambition, where he wants to wait until Steve and Doom take the fight to Mephisto, so he can swoop in at the last minute, take out Mephisto, and replace him as Hell's ruler. But nevertheless, the Red Skull's gonna have to face Captain America in this war. But right now, as Valeria's attacking Doom with the Anti-Divine, Steve says here, of course Doom would have enemies in Hell, and now one of them has the Anti-Divine, a terrifying sword designed to kill angels. He deserves this woman's wrath, but even still, I can't let her do this. So Steve steps in with his rock shield, knocking the Anti-Divine out of Valeria's hands. Then he goes on to tell her like, hey, I can't let you do this. I'm sure he deserves it, but I can't let you do it. We're here to save everyone. You have to believe me. And that's where Valeria's just like, who the hell do you think you are to stand in the way of my justice? When Steve tells her my name is Steve Rogers and people call me Captain America, he lets her know that he can't let her kill Doom's soul, or anyone's soul for that matter. And that's where Doom picks up the Anti-Divine, as if he weren't just hitting 200 consecutive dodge rolls just a minute ago. But he picks it up and he tells Valeria, your only means of killing me is no longer in your hands. And that's where Steve, he tries to de-escalate all this. But Doom's like, I think not, Rogers. And with Valeria, who's literally at Doom's mercy now, she tells him, you broke my heart. You damned me to hell. There's nothing more you can possibly do to me, Victor. And that's where Doom tells her there is one thing left, just before he takes a knee. And he tells her that one thing that's left, that one thing he can do, is make matters right. And he goes on to tell her Doom is not given to regrets, but what I did to you is unforgivable. I was power hungry when I used our love as a bartering tool, but since then I have had untold power multiple times. And yet here I am in hell. Power is fleeting. I wish guilt were also. And he gives her back the Anti-Divine. So right away Veritok's like, Victor, no, because he's putting himself in a very vulnerable position. And Doom tells Veritok to stay back, just before telling Valeria, I'm sorry, more than you can ever know. If you wish to strike me down, I will raise no hand to stop you. And right there, when Valeria goes to swing the Anti-Divine, I'm like, wait, whoa, was he finished? But she doesn't strike him down, and she lets him know that she can't forgive him for what he did, because she was a good person, and there were things that she had to do to survive here. But what she's not going to do is become Doom. And now that things have calmed down, Bartan the Smith tells them, if Doom and the others' goal is truly to give the denizens of Hell control over their destinies, then he'll let them leave with the Anti-Divine. But then he goes on to warn Doom, telling him the sword's power is absolute, and so is the risk to its wielder, because to wield it without protection is to damage your own soul. Man, and that goes for a lot of things. But as far as Doom's concerned, he's good on this. And he even tells Torvaz that he's the only one of them that can wield it safely. And now before they go, Doom promises Valeria that he will free her soul from here. And Veritok backs him on that, saying Doom is a man of his word. And Valeria says here, I know this to be true. You just need to listen to those words carefully and hear their true meaning. Mephisto delighted in torturing me, I will join you in removing him from his damn throne and make certain your promise comes true. And you can tell with Valeria, she's focused on getting out of here. So it's not like oh, Doom's changed, I forgive you. Nah, I'm gonna help you help me. And now this is where Steve is like, I've never seen this side of Doom. Contrite, putting his life in someone's hands. He truly loved this woman. Has death changed him? And now aside from this, in the land of the living, back over with Steve's body, that appears to currently be in a coma, he gets yet another visitor in the hospital by way of Spider-Man coming in through the window. And now Sharon Carter, who's still at the hospital with Steve, she doesn't know who this is, so she's got her gun ready. And Peter's spider sense does not go off. And he makes sure to let her know why, because he's like, okay, so check this out. I got this thing called a spider sense, and it said you weren't going to shoot me. So just so you know, you did not get the drop on the world famous Spider-Man. But even with Peter just getting here, he's able to quickly put together the whole issue that Steve is having with his super soldier serum, treating his medication like poison, even though it took the doctors quite some time to figure that out. But again, I imagine with Doom's involvement and how he attached Steve to his silver cord, that in itself is just not allowing Steve to wake up. So it doesn't matter what the doctors do. But at this time, with Sharon having been here for the past 3 days at this point, Peter tells her to go get some sleep because it's his turn to stick around now. And when she leaves, this gives Peter the time alone with Cap, where he can take off his mask and get some things off his chest. And now for this moment, we're actually taking things back to around the time of Captain America issue 13. So with Peter coming here, this is not too long after Avengers Armageddon issue 1. And that's why we see him telling Steve everyone's mad, angry about what Red Hulk did to you. And now a who's who of heroes are headed to Europe to kick his butt, including some guy who said he used to be a Captain America, which of course is referring to David Colton. And Peter's like, and I don't know, maybe this is what the Avengers are supposed to be about. You know, avenging, but it doesn't feel right. Like nothing good can come from going in with that kind of anger. You'd lead us in the right way, where we'd go in to help, not have helping be a byproduct. I don't know. I told Tony I wouldn't join them, that I'd stay behind to protect New York. Going global, it feels too above my pay grade, you know? But was that wrong? Don't I have a responsibility to keep an eye on things, to step in if our guys go too far? Dang it, Cap, we need you here to show us the way. I need you here. Then after this, when we jump forward to after Avengers Armageddon issue 2, we see Steve's paid a visit by Nick Fury Jr., who first goes through how bad things went in Avengers Armageddon issue 2, with David Colton going left and how he's much more powerful now. So Fury tells Steve that Bucky's looking into what gave Colton that power. But as it stands, the damage is done. And eventually Fury goes into how he knows the point's gonna come where he needs to pick a side, whether that be with the government or the superheroes. With the government having elected officials who have been put in place to make the big decisions, while the superheroes, nobody voted for them, they just go out there and do what they think needs to be done. While Fury, who's neither elected official or superhero, he does what he can from the shadows to make things right. But Steve, he's always been the bridge between human and superhuman, and even at times to those who work in the shadows, like we saw in the Doom Shadow event, no pun intended. And now Fury is just like, Cap, we need you to wake up. I need you to show me a way out. And I'll say, man, these are some wonderful words that are being told to Steve. And if he could talk back in this moment, he'd likely tell Fury, man, I'm trying to find a way out my damn self. Because even now, when we go back to what's happening in hell, we head over to the Red Skull while he's still searching for Steve when he gets an incoming flame from Mephisto. And Mephisto just starts the conversation off like, how goes it, Skull? Poorly, I assume. Because right away, Mephisto tells the Red Skull that he lost the race with Valeria as far as which one of them would get to doom Captain America first. And I mean, we know why the Red Skull lost that race, because he has plans of his own. But also Mephisto knows that not only did Valeria find Doom and Captain America, but she even went as far as to join them. So he tells Doom now this is a war. So from this moment forward, you have no need to go around interrogating people, asking around where to find them. But instead you need to ask yourself, where's their army coming from? And meet them there on the battlefield. And the Red Skull doesn't say anything back here, he just goes with it. Meanwhile, back over with Doom and Steve, we see that they made their way to the Suffering Prison to recruit more souls to fight with them. And when they get here, Torvaz goes on to explain to Steve what this place is, because he says here, these are the souls close to the line, the ones who almost made it to heaven, the saddest ones, the ones who felt a fraction of God's light on them, knowing they'll never have more. Then he's like, I knew the jailer Krael was formidable, but I never anticipated this. And I mean, I will say this dude, he's a pretty big guy. But as it stands, with everything we've seen throughout this story with Steve Rogers being in hell, this place really doesn't seem that bad in comparison to the Hulkscape and what we seen popping off over there. And it just has me like, man, Bruce, how is your immortal mind worse than eternal damnation. That's crazy. But nonetheless, for these guys, going up against Craw-El is no small task. So that's where Steve's like, okay, we need a plan. Take out the more manageable guards, free the prisoners, and then we can overwhelm the giant. And it's a good plan. But Doom's like, bump all that, I'm from Latveria. And he just leaps off of the cliff with the anti-divine like he's dunking from the free throw line. Cause for Doom, he's like, the element of surprise is our advantage. And when he hits Craw-El with the anti-divine, this giant is like, who dares? And Doom's just like, Doom dares. You better ask about me. And now from what we're shown here, the anti-divine is working, it's doing its thing. But it's not like a one-shot crazy damage situation or something with ridiculous DPS. It's more like a bleed damage or a tick damage over time. So while Craw-El's still trying to figure out what's going on, he's able to snatch up Doom. So that's where Steve and Veritok leap from the cliff to help him out. Like, man, don't you hate it when your teammate rushes solo? Then you gotta go save them. But as they leap down, Steve tells Veritok to go for the sword, while he goes for Doom. Because the last thing they want is for the big guy to start using the anti-divine, because then they'll all be screwed. And I know with somebody his size using a weapon that small, it'll be like swinging some portable dental floss. You know, the little plastic thing with a string. But hey, given the situation, they can't take no chances. But even now with Doom and Steve getting punched into a mountain basically, this has Doom hanging off the edge looking like, what would Captain Rogers do without me? Because even now Cap is barely hanging on to Doom. But I tell you what he'd do without you, Doom. He wouldn't be in hell. Let's start there. But even now with Craw-El trying to figure out what this weapon is doing to him, Veritok's able to take the anti-divine and use it in a way that seems much more effective than what Doom did. Because now when Craw-El's like, what's happening to me? She tells him what happens to those who torment others, Craw-El. Justice. Just before she beams this guy with a hit that sends him flying into a mountain. And you know, I can just imagine Doom looking at this like, man, she stole my kill. I had the situation under control. But no, like we were told before, using the anti-divine can take a lot out of a person and basically eat their soul over time. And Veritok's like she felt it before giving the weapon back to Doom. Because I imagine with Doom and his attack, he was also exercising more discretion, with him knowing what the sword can do to someone. And that's where Steve takes the key to free the prisoners. And he says here, I wish there were another way, but freedom always has a price. And as he goes to free the potential recruits, Steve gives a speech here, with him saying, listen to me, you are now free. But that won't be the case for long, unless you do what you can to hold on to this freedom. For eons, Mephisto has done whatever he wanted to you, to others in this realm. But that ends now. You may be the damned, but it doesn't mean you can't be saved, that you can't save yourselves. I'm asking you to help us, to take this fight to Mephisto, to put someone worthy on the throne. And that's where Torvaz just cuts in like, you know me, I'm Torvaz the preacher. Like, don't worry, Captain, I'll take it from here. I can lead you to a better tomorrow. If you follow me, you will be rewarded. When I humbly take Mephisto's place on... And right there, Steve's like, wait, hold up. Because not only does Torvaz want it too bad, but also in the last issue, like we saw, Steve and Doom were talking about, hey, there's something not right with this guy. But as he goes on talking about how he's not going to let some new guy just come in and take it, Steve just clocks the preacher because he's heard enough. So right after that, when Steve goes over to Veritok, and you know, I could just imagine the freed prisoners who are watching but can't hear the conversation. They just like, well, what they doing over there? Like, I like how the speech started, then he just swung on dude. But when Steve goes over to Veritok, he continues saying that she will lead hell. And at first, she's like, I don't know if I can. Which again, to Steve, that's even more the reason why it should be her. But he goes on to tell her how she'll rule with compassion and make hell a democracy. And even though she doesn't fully understand or believe she can do it for that matter, in time she will. But in the middle of this heart-touching moment in hell, Valeria tells them that something's coming, something big, and that something is an army. And now with the Red Skull charging in with his forces, this is happening much earlier than Doom and Steve would have wanted. Because they don't even have their followers together, they don't know if these prisoners will fight, and they don't have the time to sort that out. And now with Steve seeing the Red Skull for the first time since he's got here, this has Steve like, I can't believe my eyes. But of course he's here. Like, where else would he be? No, he's like, of course he's here. Of course he is. And now Doom, he's ready to crack somebody with the anti-divine again. But Steve's just like, hey, you can't keep using the sword. It's clearly harming you. Doom's just like, silence, Rogers. Doom ain't no punk. And that's where Steve takes the anti-divine and he's like, it's okay, Victor. I've got this. And as the Red Skull moves in, he tells Steve that he's ready to serve him his eternal death. Because once you die here, that's it. But who knows, that anybody who dies here could just pop up in the void and then end up in Queen in Black. Because that's comic logic. Who knows? But Steve goes on here saying, at times, I felt lost. Wandering hell, I've been sad, unsure. Is this right? Helping demons, freeing the damned. But then I see you, and I know exactly what I need to do. as Steve pushes the weapon into the ground and pulls up his shield. And he says here, "I've never been unsure about you. Skull, I could do this for all eternity." But yeah, we know it's not going to take that long, because Steve still has to make his crazy entrance in Avengers Armageddon at some point. But like I was saying earlier, much like how we saw Valeria pull something out of Doom, when Steve Rogers saw the Red Skull, he shook off any uncertainty that he had about whether or not he was making the right decision. And I can only imagine his power is going to scale with his newfound resolve. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/DopeSpill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. All right, later.